Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of How You Livin'. I'm Dr. Sam.
I'm Dr. G.
And today we are going all in on cacao, the amazing benefits of it, why it's a superfood. And our producer and co-founder, Gary, traveled to
Talamanca, Costa Rica.
He went to an organic farm. He went all the way there to this organic farm just to see how they produce their cacao, why it's important to consume organic cacao, and learn more about the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we want to do here on the show, is sort of show firsthand where our products are coming from. So we make sure that, okay, this is what a really high quality source looks like before we put it in our mouth or on our skin. So things that we want to highlight for the future, but this is going to be an awesome episode with awesome footage and a great interview.
Tell me about your weekend.
Okay, well, I kind of laid low a little bit, nothing crazy. But before we got on air, we were talking about what it means to be intentional, particularly with our energy. And intentional community, which is what I partook in, whereas intentional alone time, which is you partook in, is really amongst the same idea. It's creating an intentional or a well thought out approach as to where you want to put your energy. Absolutely. Right? And listening intuitively where you want to go with it. So for me, I went to a little dinner, but I made sure that the people there, the host was someone that I want to be around, my energy that uplifts me, is not an anchor to me.
Yeah.
And that's for me really how I want to spend, as an extrovert, I want to spend my time with that energy. Because a lot of time we find, oh man, I go to this place and that person's really bringing me down. Yeah. Well, be intentional about it, and just move away. I know you took some intentional alone time. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, I'm an introvert and an extrovert. Like, I love people. I love being around people, especially my friends and my community. I'm very intentional about who I bring into my life because to me, quality time is my love language. So like whoever I'm giving my time to, they're very special.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about our friend group, our community. But this weekend, what I chose to do is we did spend time with our community, but I did take some time to myself. There were some podcasts I wanted to listen to. Yours.
Yeah, hopefully.
Number one on my list. But there were some things I wanted to read some books. Yeah. And I realized, I was like, wow, I haven't really done that in the past 5 days, like meditation, journaling, and all that. And I took some time. And I think the more I become intentional with myself, I'm setting certain boundaries. Like even friends that called me while I was reading a book, it was so easy for me to be like, hey, sorry, I'm listening to this thing and I want to finish it before I get on the road and come hang out. And I realized the more I practice that, that was like the one lesson I learned this weekend, the more I create respect for myself and those boundaries I want to set in my life and really knowing what do I need in this moment for me and kindly telling people, sorry, I can't show up to this, or sorry, I can't pick up this phone call. I was full of love this weekend. Yeah. I created so much self-love and respect for myself. Yeah. And it was really just by reading a book. By listening to a podcast. So when we're intentional about that, and I could have, done other things, but it was, what do I need in this moment? What can I give myself? And for you, it was you needed community time. So you intentionally chose that. So you felt recharged after that. So whatever it is you're choosing, check in to see what do I need? Because community brings so much love and so much energy and immunity. As you say, community is immunity. But, and then there are times that we need to recharge ourselves. And how are we creating space for that? Yeah.
And it's a challenge for everyone. Everyone listening and viewing, like take that time and see where you want to be intentional with your energy. Yeah. I love being around people, but sometimes I'm like, oh, after a week of this, I need alone time and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, so challenge yourself with that, everyone who's viewing. Okay. So let's talk about, you love memes. I love memes. I love videos. You love videos.
We always share videos. That's how we talk daily.
Yeah.
We just send each other
memes.
That's
my love language. My love language is send me a meme. My love language is send me a funny video in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So I actually follow this page called The Dodo. And it's a great page, a verified page, and it's a feel-good page because it's all centered around animals. And it's sort of like a quick, well, it's not quick, it's maybe 3-minute Instagram TV story where you'll see an animal get picked up, a stray animal or animal in distress. And it's heartbreaking in the beginning. You're like, oh no, I can't see this. But you see the animal recuperate and then go into a home. So this morning I watched one with these 3 stray dogs, and they were like puppies, and they were just chained up, and they were in like the worst condition. Their hair was falling out. And over a span of like 2-3 months, you just see the body healing. And it's incredible. Like these animals had life to them again. And for me, animals, dogs in particular, are so important because they're very pure, and they were still wagging their tail in such a condition. So for me, yes, it's heartfelt. Sometimes like, oh my God, but then it's really nice to see like the comeback and the dodo does a great job at that.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. When you share those memes with me, I just click out of them.
You just click out of them.
I'm like, I cannot watch this. It's so hard for me to witness them in pain, I guess.
Yeah, low click rate.
Yeah.
What about you? Any funny ones that you've seen?
I mean, there's so many funny ones about relationships and being sassy. Those were the fun ones I looked at. Did I send you any? I probably did.
I think the commonality of my inbox and the ratio of like funny animal ones versus like sassy, I'm a Libra and you're a Leo memes are really, really
yes,
funny.
that's all I share. I'm like, Libra. Yeah. She does this, she does that, and bam.
How I walk into a room, you have the sunglasses, a little tiara, and a damn
exactly.
wand. Yeah,
I'm like, fan me, feed me.
So really cool. All right, so maybe we'll share one of your favorite ones for everyone else. All right, check this out. News of the day. What's the news of the day? We're going to talk about hummus. Oof. How many people love hummus? You go to a party, right? You go to a little get together. You go to a dinner. Somebody's bringing a little thing of hummus and some chips. And
you're like, I'm going to take the celery stick and I'm going to have some hummus, and I'm doing so good for my body.
And you do that. Well, hold that thought now, because a few months ago, the EWG came out with a report about hummus and the amount of glyphosate in hummus, and you'd be surprised at what we found in Whole Foods.
Yeah.
All right. So when it comes to hummus, not all hummus is safe or created equal. The Environmental Working Group put together a test, and they tested different types of hummus that are conventional and organic, non-organic. So what they found is pretty surprising. Now, before we go into it, the Environmental Working Group is a nonprofit organization that really is sort of a watchdog for consumers. So they have various databases, one called the Skin Deep database, where you can actually cross-reference some of your products that you're using for your skin, cosmetics, lotions, shampoos. They also have it for cleaners. But it's a great resource to find out where the best of the best is for all consumer products that we're putting in our mouth or putting in our skin. So it's one of my favorite resources. Anyway, what they tested for in particular was glyphosate. Glyphosate is a very controversial pesticide out there that's used, but it's ubiquitous. It's in everywhere. It's used for everything, but most particularly corn, soy, wheat, among other food products. Glyphosate in itself has been shown, even at small doses, to be disrupting, in particular, the gut bacteria, which is where some of the biggest worry is in our medicine. So, what were the results? Sam, let's go over which hummuses were found to be really high and which were found be a little bit better than normal.
Yeah. So the main thing that we're focusing on is comparing organic to non-organic, whether it's the same brand and the way they're made, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing we want to look at is other preservatives in there too, right? Glyphosates and preservatives. So some of the brands that we're looking at is Whole Foods non-organic versus Whole Foods organic, Sabra roasted with the different nuts.
That's a popular one that I've seen.
Such a popular one. And I mean, I used to eat it all the time.
The Sabra one, yeah.
Yeah, because it's so smooth. And they looked at Kava hummus.
Another popular one.
Another really popular one. And then they also looked at Harris Teeter hummus too.
Yeah. So before we get into the results about which ones was the highest, you did mention preservatives, and preservatives are interesting concept because they're preserving the food, but a lot of us are sensitive to it.
Yeah.
So really you want to look for a high quality hummus that has the least amount of preservatives, but then the oil. Yes. A lot of time they use inflammatory oils like safflower oil, sunflower oil, and even worse, canola oil, which is known to be chock full of glyphosate.
Yep.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but tell us which one had the highest and which ones were really the ones we should stay away from.
So the brand that had the highest amount of glyphosate found in hummus was in the Whole Foods non-organic brand. It went up to 2,300 parts per billion. And EWG considers anything under 160 parts per billion to be safe. And if it's higher than that, it's pretty unsafe and disruptive to your gut and other cells in your body. So Pretty crazy, right?
Pretty crazy because we go to Whole Foods going, all right, it's Whole Foods brand.
Yeah.
Let me purchase it, which is a lot of how we see greenwashing and deception in companies. Yeah. And I'll remind you, Environmental Working Group is a really, really high quality watchdog. And they're super strict with their levels. This is a strict level.
Yeah.
But that's why I like going with them, because I like strict policy when it comes to our food.
Yeah. And when they compared it to the organic Whole Foods brand, it was so much less, a lot less. There was still some glyphosates in there, but a lot less. And it was on the safer level.
Right. So, all right. So what else? What else do we have? What other companies should we watch out for?
Sabra. We mentioned Sabra, right? Theirs is pretty high too. Harris Teeter traditional hummus. Sabra's listed multiple times. Kava traditional hummus. These are all full of glyphosate. But here's the thing. If it's not organic, just expect it to have high amounts of glyphosate in it. You're better off making it yourself so you can avoid the oils.
Right.
You can avoid the preservatives that are used in there. So why not? Take a recipe. Hummus is pretty simple to make. It's like 3 ingredients. So you can make it at home to just be sure and use organic garbanzo beans, organic ingredients.
Right.
And then you can have a healthy snack that you can enjoy and not worry about what's in this, what packaging is it in. I mean, I think that's the best way to go.
And it stays fresh, and you can add whatever ingredients you want to. Sometimes I want spicy hummus and it's never as spicy as I want.
That's right.
I'm a spicy guy. I want spicy hummus.
Me too. I'm a spicy girl. Okay.
Right. But really, you're right. You made a good point. And I will say, when you buy those chickpeas, to stay away from cans. Yeah. BPA is a whole nother conversation, but we know that the cans are lined with BPA. Exactly. It's leaching into the chickpeas, and then we're blending it in, concentrating it. So really, I would go for the dried organic chickpeas and then make that at home. And use the oil that is not inflammatory, more like avocado oil, right? Or olive oil. We're going to talk about olive oil on another show, but olive oil is coming up. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that we covered this.
Exactly. I think it's so important because we always talk about this too. You can't live in a bubble, right? We're going to get exposed to certain things. But if it's something as simple as hummus, where it's easy to make at home, why not switch that out, right? The simple things we can swap out for a healthier version gets you one step closer to less exposure, healthier life, and feeling better ultimately. All right. Let's talk all things cacao, all the benefits of it. I mean, cacao's been around forever. It's like the godmother of all superfoods. So why is it so special, Dr. G?
Man, first of all, everyone is using it on some capacity.
Yeah. Ceremonial cacao.
Ceremonial in the mornings in their smoothie. A lot of people in medicine recommend it for brain health. Yep. It's rich in many different minerals. But cacao in itself is variable in its purity, the way it's treated, the way it's sourced, in heavy metals. There's quality, and it's a huge spectrum amongst really almost all the superfoods. It's the one where we really have to pay most attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. But when cacao is pure and harvested the right way, the benefits are immense, right? It's packed with flavonoids, antioxidants, magnesium, which so many people are deficient in magnesium. It has benefits for, like you said, brain health, selenium, copper, zinc. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on, but you do want to make sure it's harvested the right way. It's grown the right way. So
For sure. And if you think about cacao, it's rich in antioxidants. And that's what we want. We want antioxidants in our body, right? To negate the oxidation from poor quality food, breathing in all of these environmental toxins. This is what's protecting our body. So that doesn't go to say, eat a Hershey's chocolate every single day. That ain't cacao. We want the rich stuff. And then pop of cacao. We want the rich stuff. And one thing I was fascinated by is in the winter, particularly, I'd always be looking for chocolate. And I realized it's because I was low in magnesium. Our body is always wanting us. It knows what food. So just a little take on that. But a lot of us feel good from cacao because of the caffeine and the theobromine. That's what really activates our brain. So a few weeks ago, remember we were eating a little roasted cacao and we felt so good?
Yeah.
It was those constituents that were really flowing through us. So
and it was like immediately we felt the benefits of it by eating a cacao bean.
So anyway, our producer, Gary, in Costa Rica, visited an organic cacao farm. And we're going to pick his brain about everything. But before we do, we want you to watch this clip.
I've been here in Costa Rica for 15 years and on the farm for over 12 years. So this is a cacao tree. Today she's covered in ants, which is really interesting. Cacao has a special relationship with one breed of ants. This is not that breed of ants. This tree is about 140 years old, and they live for about 200 years. Cacao is so beautiful in that not only does she reinvent herself with every generation, but the way that people have interacted with cacao is reinvented. So she was a fruit, and then an alcohol, and then a source of fat, and then a bitter drink, and then a sweet drink, and then a bar. And now we're coming through to the next one with the meditation cacao, or using cacao for ceremony, or using the nibs of the cacao trees too, or the cacao fruit too. And so there's this constant renewal and rejuvenation that's really amazing. So the medicinal value, or the medicinal uses, we are in the tropics, lowland tropics, and so everything that you see here is going to have antifungal and antibacterial qualities, because if it didn't, it wouldn't survive here. So the cacao tree is strongly antifungal and antibacterial. Every part of her is antibacterial. Every part of her except the pod is antifungal. So this is the pod before it's ripe. This one is a long way to go. It takes 6 months between the pollination and the harvest. So at this point we can harvest this and use it as a medicine. And it's really wonderful. It's like aloe vera, but more so. It's very, very slimy. And so we use it for wound care or insect bites, rashes, allergic reactions, everything. So this is the cacao pod. And this one was actually picked a little bit too early. It had about 3 more days to ripen. This should be yellow, it should be this color. The cacao is the seed that's covered with a thin layer of white flesh. That flesh has a higher sugar content than mango or banana. Yeah, so the cacao inside is bright purple. It's an amazing color. It's incredibly rich in antioxidants. It's one of the best antioxidant foods you can eat. It's very good for us. It's a cardiovascular stimulant. It's a heart tonic. Opens the lungs. It drives the circulation to the end. It's really good at stimulating the arterial circulation. It's great for digestion. It's neuroprotective. There was a study done in Norway, of 30-year study on men, and the men who had chocolate 2 or 3 times a week were 60% less likely to have dementia or a stroke. So it's for a preventative medicine. It's excellent. It's really good. So those terpenoids, those heart stimulants, are oil soluble. 55% of each of the cacao beans is fat, and so when we're roasting it, we're beginning to bring out those oils a little bit. And so I have to admit, probably, that roasted cacao, like regular chocolate, is maybe more bioavailable in terms of those terpenoids. So there's every possibility that roasted cacao is going to have more of those terpenoids and are bioavailable to us. But the alkaloids are water and alcohol soluble. So however you're going to take it, whether it's fresh all the way through to a 72% dark roasted chocolate bar, they're still going to be in there, still going to be good.
All right, what a special treat. We have our producer, Gary, who loves being behind the scenes, but now he's right here, ready to be interviewed, all thanks cacao. So Gary, thank you for joining the show, of course. And we want to know, what was your experience like?
First of all, first time I've ever been to Costa Rica. What an amazing country, an amazing spirit of the people there. It was just very enlightening to me. And their phrase in Costa Rica is called pura vida, which is the pure life. And so they really understand the balance between home life and work-life balance. And so it was a very amazing experience with me and the crew. And as you saw in the piece, we visited this very small organic cacao farm where Ansel, who is that Scottish woman who runs the farm, just opened our eyes to the process and the magic of nurturing the cacao beans and the importance of cacao to the culture of the Costa Rican people. It was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Gary, was there anything that really surprised you about seeing the sourcing of cacao and the love that this farmer put together for the cacao? Like, was there anything that stuck out for you in particular?
First of all, it's a biodynamic farm, which means that all of the animals kind of work together to nurture all of the agriculture that's growing on this farm. But their main source of output is the cacao beans. And so they eat cacao raw, they eat it roasted, they prepare it into ceremonial cacao. And what she explained, which was, you may have heard, is that, this has been nurtured by the women of Costa Rica. So this was their biggest output before coffee. And in the 70s, there was a big fungus that wiped out almost 80% of the crop. It was devastating. And so many of the farmers, and led by Ansel, started to reinvest their time and energy into developing more a hardy plant that will sustain this fungus. And the cacao is amazing. We tasted it right from the tree. And these trees are 400 years old. I brought you guys back a special treat because I think you got a sneak peek of this before, but this is what they eat in the actual, for the workers that work on the farm, that give them energy, which is, as you mentioned, comes from not just caffeine. There's a little bit of caffeine, but it's more about the theobromide. But these are roasted cacao beans that they eat. It's kind of like their granola. And it's pretty phenomenal. They don't sell this. This is just what the farmers eat.
We tried this a few weeks ago, and I know Sam and I were buzzing, right?
Within 20 minutes, we were buzzing. So much focus, energy, like my cells were vibrating.
Maybe this is an acquired taste, but for me, it's delicious.
Yeah, so I was not a huge fan. It's a little bitter for me. But the cacao bean is actually bitter. So the way they make chocolate is adding sugar to it, which actually kind of destroys all the benefits of the flavonoids and all the amazing antioxidant benefits. So you really don't want to eat cacao if you're eating it for medicinal purposes. And it's a very sacred plant there, and they use it for medicinal purposes. You don't want to add all these other elements to it. And so this is how it's meant to be consumed in its raw state. So
yeah. And
all
Sam,
purple on the inside.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is a roasted one, I believe.
this is roasted, yes, but they do have raw cacao as well.
Can I have one more because I haven't had breakfast? maybe
I
take another.
love the taste of it. I love the bitterness. It's a little sweet too on the outside. I think it's the roasting.
Yeah.
We are going to come out with a course with her too as well for the Swell score, where you can actually learn her process. If you want to source the cacao beans from one of these farms, she'll show you how to actually roast and prepare your own cacao.
I love that.
Love
big
it.
things at Swell too, huh?
That's right.
I love it.
Thank you guys.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay.